You're listening to the World's Team Podcast. It's not just America's team, Cowboys Nation. It's the world's team. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Stewart and Mike Poland.
How about them Cowboys?
What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the World's Team Podcast, brought to you by the BLEAV Network and sponsored by Cowboys Experience for the ultimate stadium tours, tailgating, game tickets, meet and greets, all the above. Be sure to go to www.cowboysexperience.com and use the discount code WorldSteam2025. Even though I straight up this discount code there, I'm stuttering a little bit, Mike. I do apologize, but we do have breaking news as it was broken in the early parts of last night, I believe. And basically, we have extended Javonte Williams 3 years, 24 million, 16 million guaranteed. What is the implications? How does that affect the cap? We're here to break it all down. But as always, I'm joined here by my co-host, Mike Poland. How are we doing? And how are we feeling now that we've secured Javonte Williams to a longer extension?
Yeah, no, good. I mean, we spoke about this ironically last week on the last show. We talked about running back and we said, what they needed to do and not do. And they've gone and done it. I feel positive about it because it's one less thing off the board.
Yep.
And obviously, Javonte Williams is a good running back. Over 1,200 yards rushing, 11 rushing touchdowns. Fantastic. I know we'll break the contract down in a moment. If you go into the rankings, because me and Mark Mojo, who's over at USA Sports, does Locked On, he was like, I'm unsure. And I was like, have you looked at the rankings? It's a slam dunk, really. I know 8 million sounds a lot per year. Not really. Not at the position, not at the running back position now.
Yeah, when you compare it to other running backs in the league, are making a hell of a lot more, etc. Like Saquon Barkley, for example. This is a
McCaffrey. Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, there's a big total difference here. I think this is a great move from the front office. They got it done early, and one of the things we just kind of briefly talked about before we started hit record is. This comes 2 days right after the Dallas Cowboys released Logan Wilson. Mm-hmm. So, very interesting. And you made a really good point. Even though we are currently over the cap still, obviously, things are going to get restructured. We're going to release maybe potentially other players just to free up the cap, whatever that may be. But with the money that we technically saved on Logan Wilson, basically it's now going towards Javonte Williams.
Yeah, that tells you a lot about more about the teamwork and the communication between the coaching staff and the front office. That obviously they've said, the coaching staff have turned around and said, we need Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams is a fantastic player. Let's continue with him as our bell cow running back. And the front office have turned around and gone, leave it with us. We'll figure out a way. And essentially what they've done is they robbed Peter to pay Paul. So Paul. And they do the cut on Logan Wilson. We're not saying like Logan Wilson's money covers it, but it's a way to get
still substantial.
Yeah, it's a good portion of it. So they've gone, right, here's one way we can do it. We'll do this, and then that means that we can do that. And obviously that's what we've seen. Tells you a lot as well, even about what the front office feel about Javonte Williams. For them willing to go, even when you think about it, at a position that the Cowboys are desperate in terms of linebacker, that they're like, okay, we'll figure this out. We'll figure out a way. And the way to do this is here. So it's a big tell on what they think of Javonte Williams, for definite, in all circuits.
Absolutely. I think Cowboys Nation should be absolutely thrilled the fact that we've secured Williams, who had an absolutely fantastic year. And me personally, I thought Williams should have been one of the players nominated for Comeback Player of the Year. Because obviously he had a torrid time with injuries before that. We were very skeptical of what we would expect from Williams when he arrived in Dallas. And he has blown all the expectations far and beyond this year. And he completely deserves this new extension. It was, like you said, it was a slam dunk. It was a no-brainer. welcome back to Dallas, Javonte Williams, and I'm thrilled about it, man. But like I said, just to highlight, Javonte Williams has just signed a $24 million deal for 3 years, with $16 million of that being fully guaranteed. We are going to be awaiting in terms of the implications on how that affects on the cap, etc. Details of that will be later released. But, I mean, how is this going to affect going into the draft or even particular free agency? I mean, there's like, for me right now, Mike, like, running back's definitely a last afterthought. If there's a player that stands out, go take him. Like if you're in your 5th round, 6th round, and there's a player that, oh, I can't believe he's still there, you might take that stab on it just to fill up the running back room, because we're still uncertain with the rest of the running back group at this moment.
Yeah, free agency, I think definitely. You don't have to worry about it in free agency now.
You don't have to. Free agency, you're more or less overpaying. You're probably likely going to be paying the exact same type of contract that you are with Williams right now.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of his that $8 million per year, that ranks him 14th highest paid per year among all running backs. So you're kind of like, yeah, that's fine, you know? And you look at it and you go, there's not 13 better running backs in the league than Javonte Williams in how he played last year.
In hindsight, yeah.
Yeah, so that's fine. In terms of the draft, when you stop and you think about it, it's not so much whether they should or they shouldn't. It's more about what the message sends if they do or they don't. So obviously, we know with Jaden Blue, I mean, he ended up becoming inactive towards the end of the season for a number of reasons. And we heard at the start of the seasons the issue why Jaden Blue was inactive for the first portion of the season. Then it kind of gave him his chance. He kind of looked good in parts, had issues, though, with ball security and pass protection. And with your running back, too, they're two things you do not want to happen. You need your running back to be consistent and be able to protect. So obviously, that's a big problem with Jaden Blue. Malik Davis, he showed you some things.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and he's with the Cowboys for another year. He's with the Cowboys 2026, then becomes a restricted free agent. So you look at that and you go, is there enough there to be running back to? He certainly took his chance when they chose him over Blue. Really took the bull by the horns. I mean, we saw some fantastic plays. Eagles, for argument's sakes. I mean, one of the reasons the Cowboys won that game was a fantastic play by him, which we were there for. And he is a really, really good player. Consistent. He's not a really good player. Not really, really good player. I should take that back. He's adequate enough for what you've got. He's more consistent. Is he better than Jaden Blue overall? Is a big question mark. And this is why I'm saying the message of whether you do or you don't. The big determining factor on everything else really boils down to Phil Maffer. So Phil Maffer's now, he's the 4th running back on here. But he's very, very role specific in what you want him to do. Extremely role specific. Big downhill runner, will thump the ball, has the pass protection. All of those things, you're like, great. Yeah. But we only saw him in one game. So it took us a very, very long time to get to see what he can do on an NFL field, scored a touchdown. Albeit the issues that we're all talking about is that final game is just the final game. And we're against a team that was ranked last in defending the run. So now what the question, the big problem here in drafting a running back is Jaden Blue. If Jaden Blue showed you enough, if there was just like, you were like, there's enough there, because he has the home run ability, but it's the inconsistencies with him. But if it just wasn't, you'd be more confident going, So here's why I say the message. So if they draft a running back in day 3, that tells you they want to continue to create when it comes to Oxnard, a battle for RB2, because they're not 100% certain. They're not perfectly happy with what they have, and they just want to add something else in there to see what they have. Doesn't completely mean they're out on the other running backs. They just want to add something else to the mix. If they don't draft a running back in the third round, then there's obviously something behind the scenes that we haven't seen that they feel confident about. So that's why I'm saying it's not so much a case of they need to draft a running back or they don't. It's more that if they do draft one or they don't draft one, that's the big message that they're sending you at RB2 behind Javonte Williams. And you've got to also think that if they're spending this money on Javonte Williams and there's even just a slight niggle of uncertainty with Blue, Davis, or Martha, they may just say, right, look, we've just spent some big money, $8 million per year on a running back. Maybe we should draft one because of the volatility of the position. Bearing in mind, yeah, you said he's a year removed from the knee injury. There's still a slight question mark there. So because of wear and tear and the volatility of the position, do they still want to draft one just to protect themselves in the position?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at all the list of running backs right now currently available for this year's draft, and there is some notable names that in the later rounds that you could actually step in and look at, like Creighton Allen from Penn State, for example, the Jamara Taylor from Virginia. Like those two guys, like automatically, like, you're talking about like 5th round potentially. Like there's Jaden Ott also from Oklahoma.
Jaden Ott, I quite like.
Yeah, so I mean, this is
blocking's
probably
blocking's an issue with all. Though.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, there's something there is something with all these guys I've just kind of mentioned there, but it's something like I kind of mentioned, like these would be more of a developmental type of way of like drafting someone. There is still holes in their game, but when you look at what we've just kind of been like looking to do right now in terms of building this roster, we've brought in Williams. We might still have to draft a running back. We might. I'm not saying we will, but
no.
I think it's based on how the board is going to work out. I think.
I'm not even so much worried on how the board falls. I think it's just more of on day 3, if we see them pick one up, the implications of them picking it really tell you how they feel.
Yeah, I think. Well, here's a question for you. What day of the draft are you most excited for, actually? Because I think now, based on what we've been kind of doing right now, I think day 3 is going to be the very telling story of what we're trying to achieve.
I'm still all on day 1 at the moment.
Of course.
Yeah. But I've got an ulterior motive on day 1. It's more, I like they pick 12. There's pretty much a few places they can go and I'll just be happy. It doesn't matter. Just get me a guy. It's the pick 20. I'm interested.
Yes.
Intrigue at pick 20. That's why day 1, because there is just so many different places and directions that they can go. And they're not going to tell us until the day or at when it gets to pick 20 what that's going to do. Pick 20, really, for me, is how this draft class is going to go. Pick 20 is the one.
I think pick 20 is also not a tell as well. Like, if we're, like, say, like, for example, like, obviously, with re-signing Williams, that kind of brings the cap up slightly more. Like, not much.
They'll figure it out, though.
But one way to kind of slightly decrease it is by trading back. Like, in terms of the draft, like, salaries. Like, in terms of the salaries, what you do, like, the lower, the lower number that you are in the draft, the less money you would earn. Like, I believe at pick 12 it's roughly about 4.5 million at pick 12, and pick 20 is like 3.6 million. So even if you if you were to drop down maybe a couple of 5 places, even though it's maybe a difference of a couple of $100,000, but still it's just that it's it's always my favorite saying, like based on the supermarket Tesco back in the UK, every little helps.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean?
The intrigue with obviously sticking at 20 or staying in the first round is obviously it's the 5th year option, you know.
Yeah,
but
I think that's definitely going to happen. We're still going to be in the first round. I hope we just trade back and pick up either it's a second or third, depending who that dance partner may be. But I'm just looking like I said again, like
There's a few options, see, because if you think of the teams behind this, what you're thinking about are quarterback hungry teams that will want to jump in to step over before it happens. That's what I'm thinking. But it's not so much the cap savings I'm worried about. It's the number of picks. Can we trade back and get an extra pick?
Well, here's a scenario for you, right? At pick 21, there's the Steelers. They need a quarterback. Pick 24 is the Cleveland Browns. They need the quarterback, possibly, depending on what the whole scenario. Like, Cleveland always needs a quarterback. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, even though they drafted Gabriel and they drafted Sanders, they've got Deshaun Watson, and they obviously cut Joe Flacco to go to the Bengals. Like, I was like, they still need a quarterback. Like,
Sanders isn't the option.
Yeah, so
it all depends with Cleveland what they do in the earlier picks.
I think the dance partner could be Cleveland in this scenario. Move back 4 places. That means Cleveland gets ahead of the Steelers, who are a divisional rival. They get their quarterback. I mean, I'll be honest. This is my personal opinion. I think drafting a quarterback at that position is a massive stretch. Like, the only person I could think of would be Ty Simpson or Nussmeier. That's the only 2 I can think of.
I do like Ty Simpson from Alabama, though. I do like him. I really like him.
I do like him as well, but yeah, everyone, like, in terms of all the other analysts out there, they've kind of have him more like as a day 2 guy.
He is, for sure. He's definitely quarterback 2, without a doubt. There's so much intrigue with him, you know. He's got a decent arm. You have to work on some of the mobility and the short passing stuff, but the rest, I mean, that dude's ready to go, which is really that's why he's deemed a day 2 guy. But I'm not the draft class at the quarterback position this year. I'm kind of meh about anyway.
Yeah, wait till next year. Jeez.
I mean, all depends. Yeah, but yes.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think there's really much else to really cover on this because I mean,
but I tell you, there is something else that I liked that I heard today. They asked Javonte Williams, and you're going to like this, about being re-signed, and he just said that he thinks that this team is special. He loves being here. They asked about the money side of it all, and he said he did not care. He was like, sometimes it's not all about chasing the money. It's about getting the right deal on the right team where you feel best. And that's what he said about being signed by Dallas.
Do you know who also said that last year? He came through halfway through the season. Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah. I could probably find the comment, so...
I will put this as my bet. He will be the next one that gets re-signed.
I have said that in a tweet today.
Like, even though we've got Brandon Aubrey we need to re-sign, yes, that's true. But I think in terms of like the desperate need of the defensive end position where we are really short-stacked in that, I think if we bring in Clowney back into the building as soon as possible, it kind of gives us more flexibility what we can do more in free agency. Yeah. And also... when it comes to the draft also. But like I said, like with us going to this 3-4 defense, linebacker is still the number 1 priority for me, man. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, linebacker, cornerback, can't go wrong. Edge as well.
Pick your poison.
It is very much like that, yeah. You know,
pick your poison, Cowboys Nation. What position would you go for in the draft if it was you?
There's a good question.
Yeah, we would love to hear your thoughts on that.
But I mean, the good thing is they solidified their RB1. So that's one thing we don't have to worry or no longer talk about in terms of free agency in the draft. Because like without Javonte Williams there, it's just something else they'd have to fill. And that would mean for me, they definitely would have had to trade at 12 or 20. Trade out to get extra draft picks so they could pick up a running back. Now they don't have to. Or they can still... and be able to fill up the other positions of need. So I just think that it's a double-edged sword. They get their RB1, who was fantastic last year, saves on trying to figure out the position through free agency in the draft. Now we can move on.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, folks, let us know your thoughts on the Javonte Williams re-signing contract extension. We would love to hear your thoughts on that. Be sure to follow us all on our social media platforms, whether it's X, Instagram. Be sure to subscribe us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you manage to listen to your podcast, we are on there. But before we finish off, Mike, please tell everyone where everyone can find you.
Yes, you can find me on Twitter or X at Kenfig Cowboy. That's Kenfig with a K, Cowboy with a K. You must be.
You can find me at IMP on X and Instagram. All right, folks, we've got one check mark done out of our basically roster now with Javonte Williams back in. More are going to be coming in for the door very, very fast, as free agency is going to be wild this year. So, but yes, stay tuned. Help the channel out, subscribe, and like as always here on the World's Team, it's not just America's team, it is the World's Team. We'll see you guys next time.
That's a wrap on the World's Team Podcast. Smash that like button and hit subscribe, Cowboys Nation. This ain't just America's team, it's your team. Touchdown! It's the World's Team, only on BLEAV, where real fans live.
How about them Cowboys?